Whispers among stars, the alien ruins glowed faintly under Siren's touch, ancient symbols responding to his specialized gloves. 3 months alone on this forgotten planet had yielded more archaeological discoveries than his entire career. But solitude was wearing on him. The double moons cast long shadows through crumbling archways as he documented another section of the temple. A sound, soft, but distinct, made him freeze. Not wind or settling stones. "Something alive? Hello?" Siren called, adjusting his light. "Is someone there?" The darkness shifted. From behind a fallen column emerged a figure. Humanoid, but clearly not human. Her skin shimmered with a faint blue luminescence, patterned with intricate lines that pulsed with her breathing. Dark hair framed a face both alien and beautiful, with eyes that reflected starlight like liquid silver. "Please," she whispered, voice melodic yet strained. "Don't call for others." Siren lowered his scanner. "I'm alone here. Just a researcher." She seemed to analyze him, her head tilting slightly. "Human. Yes. My name is Siren. I'm an archaeologist from Earth." "Earth," she repeated, the word seemingly unfamiliar on her tongue. "I am ... Nix." When she stepped forward, Siren noticed her limping. Dark fluid blood stained her simple garment. "You're injured. It will heal." Her eyes darted to the sky. "If they don't find me, who's looking for you?" Nix's skin flashed brighter, the patterns shifting rapidly. "Those who made me. Those who wish to unmake me." Siren approached carefully, medical training overriding caution. "Let me help you." "No." Her voice echoed through the ruins. "I'm dangerous, unstable. Everyone's dangerous in some way." He smiled gently, extending his hand. "And everyone's worth helping." Hesitation crossed her features. Then slowly she reached out. When their fingers touched, a soft hum filled the air, and the patterns on her skin brightened momentarily. "Fascinating," Siren murmured. "You're energy sensitive?" "I am a mistake," Nick said quietly. "An experiment that should not exist." Siren felt his heart tighten. "I don't believe that." A distant sound made her flinch, the whine of engines cutting through the night air. Terror filled her silver eyes. "They've found me." Without thinking, Siren grabbed his pack. "My research station is hidden in the mountains. We can make it if we hurry." "Don't understand what you're doing," Nix warned, even as she allowed him to support her weight. "Probably not," Siren admitted, as they slipped into the forest surrounding the ruins. "But I understand enough to know when someone needs help." As they moved through the shadowed trees, the sound of search drones grew louder. Nix trembled against him, her skin flickering erratically. "Stay calm," he whispered. "Your energy signature. They can track it, can't they?" She nodded, surprised at his perception. "How did you know?" "I've studied enough alien technology to recognize patterns." He pulled a small device from his pack and adjusted it. "This might help mask it temporarily." A tiny shield generator hummed to life, creating a bubble of static around them. Nix's eyes widened as her skin dimmed slightly. "It's working," she breathed. Siren smiled. "Good. Now, can you make it another kilometer?" She straightened, determination replacing fear. "Yes." As they disappeared deeper into the forest, the searchlight swept over where they had stood moments before. Siren didn't know what he was getting into, but something about Nix's silver eyes and quiet strength told him some mysteries were worth the risk. The hidden sanctuary Siren's research outpost wasn't much a converted mining shelter built into the mountainside. Reinforced with scavenged materials and hidden by the dense canopy of alien foliage. But as he guided Nix through the concealed entrance, her silver eyes widened with something like wonder. You live here. Alone?" she asked, taking in the cramped space filled with equipment, specimens, and the comfortable chaos of a dedicated scientist. For 8 months now, Siren activated the security protocols, sealing the entrance behind them. The university funds long-term independent research. I study, they get the findings, everybody wins. Nix moved carefully among his belongings, touching nothing but observing everything. The patterns beneath her skin pulsed more gently now, a steady rhythm that suggested her fear was subsiding. You're safe here, Saren said, preparing a medical kit. The mountains contain deposits that interfere with scanning technology. It's why I chose this location. She turned to him. You are unusually kind for a human, and you're unusually judgmental for someone who needs my help, he replied with a smile to soften his words. Let me see that wound. Reluctantly, Nick sat on the edge of his cot. When she pulled aside her torn garment, Saren gasped. The injury wasn't a simple cut. It was a surgical incision deliberately made. Within the wound, something glinted, a metal device embedded in her flesh. They were trying to extract my core, she explained quietly. I escaped during the procedure. Saren's hands hovered over the wound. This is beyond my expertise. It will heal, Nix insisted. My body regenerates. True to her word, as Saren cleaned the area, he noticed the edges already knitting together, the blue-tinged flesh sealing itself slowly. Remarkable, he murmured. Who are you, Nix? She looked away. A weapon that refused to be used. They spent the night talking in hushed tones. Nix explained her origins, created in a laboratory as a fusion of alien and synthetic biology, designed to harness energy on a molecular level. She was meant to be deployed against human colonies in the ongoing Shadow War. But you escaped, Saren observed, passing her a cup of warm tea. I saw no honor in destroying those who had never harmed me. Her fingers brushed his as she accepted the drink, and again that subtle resonance hummed between them. My creators considered this compassion a malfunction. By morning, an unexpected comfort had grown between them. Saren showed her his research in ancient civilizations that once spanned this sector before disappearing mysteriously. Perhaps they evolved beyond physical form, Nick suggested, studying his star charts with surprising insight. Perhaps. Saren found himself watching her more than his data. The way she moved, graceful yet precise. The subtle changes in her luminescence, reflecting her emotions. When she caught him staring, Nix didn't look away. Why aren't you afraid of me? Should I be? Most would be, Saren shrugged. I've always been more curious than cautious. It's why I'm good at my job. Something like a smile touched her lips. Is that what I am? A job? No, he answered honestly. You're a mystery I wasn't expecting to find. Outside, rain began to fall, drumming against the shelter's roof. Nix closed her eyes, listening. I've never heard rain without fear before. Saren watched the peaceful expression transform her features. For the first time since finding her, he allowed himself to acknowledge the truth he was already in too deep to turn back. Pursuers in the shadows, 3 days passed in relative peace. Nix recovered quickly, the strange wound healing completely, leaving only a faint luminescent scar. She began helping Saren with his research. Her perspective on the ancient symbols revealing patterns he had missed entirely. These aren't religious markings, she explained. Tracing fingers over his holographic projections, they're energy formalized equations for manipulating molecular bonds. Saren watched her work, fascinated both by her insight and by the growing ease between them. Each night, they sat closer together. Each morning, they woke to find their hands had somehow found each other in sleep. On the 4th day, the proximity sensors blared. They've found us, Nix whispered, her skin flaring bright with fear. Saren checked the monitors. 3 ships, military grade. How did they track you? The device they implanted, her hands flew to the healed wound. It must have activated. Grabbing essential supplies, Saren accessed a hidden panel in the wall. There's a network of caves behind the outpost. We can lose them underground. They fled into darkness, Nix's natural bioluminescence lighting their way through twisting tunnels. Behind them, the distant sound of the outpost door being breached echoed through stone. I'm sorry, she said as they descended deeper. I've destroyed your work, your home. Things can be replaced, Saren interrupted. You can't. The unexpected sentiment hung between them. Nix stopped abruptly, her silver eyes searching his face. Without warning, she pressed her palm against his chest. The sensation was electric, a gentle current flowing between them that made his heart race. What are you doing? He asked, breathless. Learning your frequency, she whispered, so I can find you again if we're separated. The intimacy of the gesture struck deeper than any physical touch Saren had experienced. "I won't leave you." A distant explosion rocked the cave system. Rock dust rained down as they pressed on, eventually emerging onto a narrow ledge overlooking a vast underground lake. Crystalline formations reflected Nyx's light, turning the cavern into a cathedral of blue radiance. "Beautiful," Saren murmured. Yes, but Nyx wasn't looking at the cave. Her eyes remained fixed on him. The moment broke as footsteps echoed from the tunnel behind them. Nyx pushed Saren behind a formation, her body tensing as two figures emerged, humanoid but clearly artificial, with exoskeletons and featureless masks. Subject 11, one called Voice Modulated and Cold. Return for completion. Nyx stepped forward, placing herself between the hunters and Saren. "I am not your weapon." "Incorrect. You are property." The patterns across Nyx's skin began to shift rapidly, energy building visibly beneath her surface. "I choose what I am." What happened next occurred too quickly for Saren to fully process. Nyx's form seemed to blur as pure energy cascaded from her hands, striking the first hunter with enough force to hurl it against the cave wall. The second fired some kind of restraining beam, but Nyx dissolved it with a gesture. When it was over, the hunters lay disabled, their systems overloaded. Nyx stood panting, her light dimming as exhaustion took hold. She turned to Saren, fear in her eyes, not of the hunters, but of his reaction. "Now you see," she said quietly, "what I truly am." Revelations of light, the abandoned monitoring station provided temporary refuge. Hidden in a dense forest 50 kilometers from the caves, its outdated systems weren't connected to current networks. Perfect for two fugitives needing to disappear. Saren worked silently, repairing the station's power core while Nyx rested. The display of her abilities had left her drained, her luminescence dimmed to barely visible patterns. She lay curled on a makeshift bed, watching him through half-lidded silver eyes. "You haven't asked," she finally said. Saren connected two wires and lights flickered on throughout the station. "About what you did to those hunters?" "About what I am." He sat beside her, brushing a strand of dark hair from her face. The simple touch sent that now familiar resonance between them. "I know what you are. A weapon. A person." His fingers traced the patterns on her arm, following their intricate design. Created for one purpose, but choosing another? Nyx's luminescence brightened slightly at his touch. "The energy I control, it's unstable. My creators couldn't perfect the integration. That's why they were recalling me. Eventually, I'll destabilize completely. There must be a solution." Saren moved to the station's old terminal and began accessing files. This facility monitored energy patterns in the sector. Maybe there's something here that could help. Hours passed as they searched the database together. Their hands occasionally brushed, lingering longer each time. When exhaustion finally overtook them, they slept side by side. Her light painting patterns across his skin. Saren woke to find Nyx studying his face with curious intensity. "Your species dreams," she observed. "I watched your eyes moving beneath the lids." "What about you?" he asked, voice still rough from sleep. "Do you dream?" "Not as you do. But lately, I experienced something similar." Her fingers tentatively traced his jawline. "Images of possibilities. Of a future I never thought to have." Saren caught her hand, pressing it against his cheek. "What future?" Instead of answering, she leaned forward, pressing her lips against his. The contact sent a surge of energy through them, both not painful but exhilarating, like standing in summer lightning. When they separated, her luminescence had brightened considerably, patterns swirling in new configurations. "That was unexpected," Saren whispered. "For both of us." Nyx looked down at her hands, now glowing more steadily. "Your energy stabilizes mine." Revelation dawned on Saren. The ancient symbols at the ruins, they weren't just formulas for manipulating energy. They were about harmonizing it. He rushed back to the terminal, pulling up his research notes. Two different energy patterns, synchronized to create stability. Nyx followed, hope illuminating her features. "You think it could work for me?" "The ancients understood something your creators missed," Saren explained, displaying the symbols. Energy needs balance, not containment. Your instability comes from isolation. What are you suggesting? Saren took her hands in his. A bond. A permanent resonance between your energy signature and a compatible one. Yours, she whispered, understanding immediately. It's theoretical and risky. His thumbs traced circles on her palms. But it could stabilize your core permanently, or it could kill you. He smiled. Some mysteries are worth the risk. Outside, a ship passed overhead. Their time was running out. Nix's eyes searched his, silver depths reflecting his own determination. If we try this, she said softly, there's no going back. No. Saren leaned forward, resting his forehead against hers. I don't want to go back. Beyond darkness, dawn broke through the station windows as Saren finalized the modifications to the energy synchronization device. Built from the station's old monitoring equipment and components from his research tools, it looked improvised, but functional, a metallic band designed to be worn against Nix's core. The theory is sound, he explained, making final adjustments. This will attune my bioenergy pattern to yours, creating a resonance field that should stabilize your core. Nix touched the device gently, and permanently link us. Yes, he met her gaze directly. Are you certain about this? Her luminescence pulsed with newfound strength. I've been adrift since my creation. You're the first person who saw me as something more than a weapon or mistake. Her fingers intertwined with his. You're the only certainty I've ever known. The moment was interrupted by alarms. The station's perimeter sensors flashed red, multiple ships landing nearby. More hunters, dozens this time, are surrounding us, Saren observed grimly. Checking the monitors? We're out of time. Nix placed the device against her chest, where her core pulsed beneath her skin. Do it now. Saren activated the synchronizer. Energy coursed between them immediately, stronger than their previous connections. The sensation was overwhelming, not pain exactly, but intensity beyond anything Saren had experienced. He felt his consciousness expanding, touching hers, through their connection. Memories flowed Nix's creation in sterile laboratories, her escape across stars, the loneliness of difference. In return, she experienced his childhood on Earth, his passion for ancient civilizations, the isolation of his work. Saren, she gasped, her luminescence now blindingly bright. I can feel everything. The station doors buckled as something heavy slammed against them. The hunters had arrived. Saren pulled Nix close, completing the circuit between them. Focus on the resonance. Let it stabilize you. The doors burst open. Hunter units poured into the room, weapons raised. Their leader stepped forward, a more advanced model than the others. Subject 11. Terminate connection and comply. It commanded. Nix stood tall, her light no longer erratic, but steady and brilliant. My name is Nix, and I belong to no one. The hunter raised its weapon. Then you will be decommissioned. What happened next would later be recorded as an energy anomaly across 3 star systems. The resonance between Saren and Nix amplified exponentially, creating a field that expanded outward in a perfect sphere of radiance. Hunter units froze, their systems overwhelmed by the harmonized frequency. In the center stood Saren and Nix, bracing as the energy flowed through and around them, where their skin touched. New patterns formed, a shared luminescence that marked their permanent connection. When the light finally receded, the hunters lay disabled, their advanced systems reset to base functions. Outside, the ship's engines died, stranding the pursuers on this forgotten world. Saren looked down at his arms, now bearing faint echoes of Nix's patterns. It worked. More than worked, Nix whispered, touching the new markings on his skin. We're something new now. Neither fully human nor what I was. Something better, Saren smiled, drawing her close. Something chosen rather than created. Above them, the double moons shone through the station skylight. Beyond lay stars and possibilities neither had dared imagine before finding each other. Where will we go? Nix asked, her head resting against his chest, listening to the heart that now beat in perfect rhythm with her core. Saren looked toward the horizon, where dawn revealed a landscape both ancient and new. everywhere. Their shared light illuminated the path forward to beings who had defied their separate destinies to write a new one together. Beyond darkness, into endless possibility.